Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are so excited that you will be joining us for this amazing webinar, Nourishing a Healthy Heart, especially on today, National Wear Red Day, which is a day to bring greater attention to heart disease. My name is Brenda Dash, and I'm a wellness educator for WorkWell NYC. And I'm happy to have my co-host, Karen Shafias, Chef for Beautifully Fed. So we just want to talk to you a little bit about WorkWell NYC and what we do. WorkWell NYC is the city's worksite wellness program, and we are here to help you live well and work well. Our goal is to create work sites that make it easier for our employees to live healthy, active lifestyles. Health is not just the abstinence of disease. Health is physical, mental, financial, emotional, and we all know health exists on a spectrum. We're here for you with health and well-being resources and programs to help you move more, eat well, be well, and take action to prevent disease, no matter where you are on your health journey. We are committed to addressing matters of inequity and providing platforms to educate and develop structural solutions to health and wellness in and out of work. So today's agenda, understanding how the heart works, nutrition and health, and what I'm really looking forward to, the pineapple fried rice. So we're going to have a cooking demonstration. So let's start with what is heart disease? Well, the term heart disease refers to several types of heart conditions, with coronary artery disease being the most common here in the US. And we know the role of the heart is to pump blood through blood vessels so that all of the tissues and organs of our body can receive both oxygenated blood as well as nutrients. And the heart muscle itself also needs this flow of blood in order for it to stay healthy. But over time, there can be a buildup of what we call plaque, or this waxy substance within the walls of our arteries that can cause the inner walls to become obstructed. And as a result, the blood flow becomes diminished. And when this diminution occurs within the coronary arteries, which are the arteries that lead blood to the heart, it puts us at risk for a heart attack. Heart disease is a leading cause of death among adults in the US. Approximately 655,000 Americans die of heart disease each year, which is approximately 1 in 4 deaths, which is huge. So the question is, well, are there some things that we can possibly do to reduce the risk of heart disease? So when we look at risk factors, there are factors that we don't really have a lot of influence over, and those include genetics. If we have a family history or a family member who is living with heart disease, especially if they developed it from a younger age, it puts us at higher risk. Gender, men generally are at higher risk. However, the risk for women increases post-menopause, and one of the reasons is because they no longer have that protection from estrogen. And age is also a risk factor. As we get older, our blood vessels naturally begin to not necessarily work as well. They may not be as flexible, they may have the increase in the waxy substance, as we noted, the fat linings, and as a result, it puts us at higher risk. So some of the factors that we do have influence over, and when I look over this list, I find that it's the same factors that possibly are connected to some of the other chronic conditions, such as our weight. If we are overweight or we're living with obesity, it puts us at risk. A sedentary lifestyle where we're not really getting in a lot of physical activity is enough risk factor. Excessive alcohol intake, smoking, and the management of chronic conditions, specifically diabetes, high cholesterol, and high blood pressure. Tips to prevent heart disease. So we always want to focus on following a healthy diet, and as we're going to go more into that later on in the presentation. So participate in daily physical activity. Remember, the goal is 150 minutes per week of physical activity, which can be broken down into 30 minutes per day. And even within that day slot, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes together. It can be 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, and the last 10 minutes during the evening. So we want to aim to get 30 minutes. If we are overweight or if we're living with obesity, the goal is to, again, focus on losing weight. And when we say losing weight, a small amount, 5 to 7% of your weight, or showing a weight loss of 5 to 7% can greatly reduce or prevent some of the chronic conditions such as heart disease. See your primary care provider, PCP, on a regular basis. And I'm going to repeat, see primary care provider on a regular basis. And especially during the current time of COVID-19, where many of us may be fearful or haven't been keeping up with our provider appointments as we previously had. It's important to remember that chronic conditions do not stop. It's a condition that you have to live with. And as a result, it is important to stay adherent with your doctor's appointment. So even if it means that you have to reach out and make a phone call now because it's been a long time since you've seen your provider, I would recommend you do that. Quit smoking, and studies have shown that people who stop smoking within a 12-month period can show a 50% reduction in the development of heart disease. So quitting smoking is a definite tip to prevent heart disease. Know your blood pressure. Limit alcohol use, and when we say limitations, for women, it's 1 or less per day, and for men, less than 2 a day. Manage stress. Stress is something that we all deal with on a daily basis, but how we manage it is very different. So managing stress in a healthy way. And lastly, again, managing your chronic conditions such as diabetes and high blood pressure. Let thy food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food. And I love this transition into talking about the diet. And I want to add, not only do we want it to be our medicine, we do want it to be a part of us where we focus on our culture and our socialization. So much of what we do is centered around food, and it's important to keep that in an equation when we talk about a healthy diet. Nutrition and health, I always say it's important to eat a variety of foods on a daily basis. And the reason being, each type of food is going to offer you different vitamins and minerals. There's no one such healthy food that I can eat it all day, such as a piece of broccoli, and it's going to provide me with all the nutrients that my body needs in order for it to stay healthy. So again, it's important to eat a little bit of foods from your grain group, from your protein, dairy, milk, and vegetables in order for you to receive all the nutrients your body needs to stay healthy and be healthy. When we talk about heart disease, fats and our intake of fats is so important to the equation. And I like to say there are unhealthy fats. And when we say unhealthy, they're fats that can increase our risk for heart disease. And then we have healthy fats, which actually promotes heart health. So I just want to spend a little time talking about your unhealthy fats. And typically there are 3 that we want to look out for. They are your saturated fats, your trans fats, and your dietary cholesterol. And they can be found in your red meats, your full dairy products, a lot of your baked goods, cookies, chips, as well as poultry with the skin. And on the reverse of that, your healthy fats, and again, there are 3 that you want to focus on: your monounsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats, as well as your omega-3 fatty acids. And you can find them in foods such as olive oil, canola oil, some of your nuts and your seeds, as well as your fatty fish such as sardines, tuna, and one that's not up there is salmon. Is also a fatty fish. That's very good for you. Sodium is something else that we want to monitor or think about when we talk about heart disease. And the reason being, sodium especially for people who are salt sensitive, can have an impact on their blood pressure. Approximately 70% of the sodium in the diet comes from processed foods, such as your deli meats, cheese, canned products, but you also get it from prepackaged foods and restaurant foods. So in summation, when we talk about heart health, here are a few diet tips that we can go over. You want to focus on whole grains. And when we talk about whole grains, you're talking about your brown rice, your whole wheat pasta, whole wheat breads, fruits and vegetables, which again are very high in fiber as well as other nutrients. You want to focus on fish and skinless poultry, nuts, seeds, your healthy oils, and pay attention to how foods are prepared. You want to focus on baking, grilling, steaming versus some of the other cooking methods that can increase the fat content. And the things that we want to decrease is our intake of refined grains, such as your white rice and your white pastas. And again, mainly because the fiber content is a lot less than the whole grains. Processed foods we want to be mindful of because of their sodium contents, red meats, full dairy products, because of their fat content. And we want to monitor how we're cooking. Are we deep frying? Are we eating a lot of fried snack foods such as potato chips? And again, we want to limit our intake of some of the unhealthier oils such as your trans fats and your saturated fats. Let's get cooking. Very excited to welcome Karen, and we're gonna make some pineapple fried rice. So let's see. My question to you is,
go.
Why beautifully fed?
Why beautifully fed? Hi, everybody. So excited to be here. I'm Karen Sharfis, and my business is Beautifully Fed Food. We call it Beautifully Fed because I realized that the way we feed ourselves is so much more than the food that's on our plate, right? We feed ourselves spiritually through our emotions, through our connections with other people, our physicality, how we're moving, and so on and so forth. And so I want to be really intentional about encompassing all of that and being really holistic when I think about health. So my business is a woman of color-led enterprise. There are eight women in business together. And we are a worker-owned co-op where we're focused on building health, equity, and wealth in our communities and communities of color. And we do our work primarily from Brooklyn, but now in the time of COVID, everything is virtual. In fact, I'm not even in Brooklyn right now. I'm in Florida where my dad lives. I wanted to come and check in on him because he's 83. So, and unwell, but eating better now that I'm here. So yay, there's that. And we're going to be cooking pineapple fried rice, y'all. I'm so excited.
Very excited as well. So what are some of the ingredients that you're using today?
So I don't know if you can see in my other camera. Let's try to get this adjusted. There we go. You can see my other camera. I've got my garlic here. So I've got my pan on. I'm putting my garlic to the side because I like to start with garlic, but because garlic can burn so easily, I try to, if I'm cooking anything else first, like onions, I try to put the onions down. So you came to me a little quickly and I was still in the middle of my prep. But this is a good thing because I love to show how to dice an onion. Because this was like the thing for me about cooking, I recognize for a lot of people, I don't know about you, Brenda, but a lot of people, resist cooking. They think that they don't know how to do it. Yep.
A lot of people are fearful of the kitchen.
Yeah, fearful of the kitchen, don't have the confidence to do all of the things. Hold on. Okay, yeah, my camera went away for a moment.
And one thing I do like to share is that once you're in the kitchen, you have control over the ingredients.
Exactly. And what I love for people to know is gaining confidence in the kitchen comes from doing even little things, just, building on what you already know. And so even learning a technique like how to cut an onion for me was huge in building up my confidence because I used to hate to cut things because it would take me so long. And by the time I was done cutting, I wasn't even hungry anymore. Then I learned this simple technique. So what I did was I had the onion, and this is the root of the onion. Can you see, Barb? Brenda?
Yep, I can see.
This is the root, and typically I don't even cut that off because I like to be able to see the hairy part, so I know that that's the root, and that's the part that I don't cut. And then I lay it down, root side down, or root side up, whichever, and then I cut it in half. And then cutting in half allows you to peel it really easily. So we're going to peel it, and this is a big onion, so typically I would do, I think the recipe calls for a whole onion, but since this is such a large one, we're just going to do half of it. Anyway, you take off the peel, you remove it. The harder it is to remove, don't lament too much. It means you've got a really fresh, juicy onion on your hands. So, you know, be angry. That is taking so long to take off the onion, but then be happy that you're gonna have a really delicious result. So
you're using onions, you're using garlic and whatever.
Onions, garlic. We also have scallions are gonna go in this, fresh ginger. And then we're going to, this is a really colorful dish. So we've got carrots, orange carrots, green broccoli, green whatever dark leafy greens you happen to have. I'm using kale, hallucinado kale, and we've got purple cabbage. Delicious.
Oh, wow, very nice. So you have a couple of food groups within this one dish.
Exactly, which is fantastic. I heard you talk earlier about the importance of eating your colors to get a variety of nutrients, right?
That's right, 100% so, yes.
Honey. So I've got my onion here, and what I do is I point the root part of the onion away from me, and I take my knife, and then I cut down, and we're gonna make little, you're gonna make cuts in your onion diagonally, kind of like along the grooves of the onion, but don't get too obsessive about that. You're just making thin slits, and the idea is not to cut through to the root. So I'm just starting from the root and then coming down, and then again and again and again until you're all the way around the onion. And then we're going to come back around and make a horizontal slice, 1 or 2 depending on how big your onion is. So you see this is the key, y'all, to cutting an onion and having everything in place, because now we're going to make this cut. Everything isn't going to fly away from me and be all over my cutting board or all over my kitchen counter or the floor. It's going to stay together. So I just made 1 slice. You don't have to be too precise here. And now I'm going to make these horizontal slices this way. So I had the vertical going here, and now I turned it, and now I'm making horizontal slices. And now my eyes are closing because the onion is really juicy and it's making me start
and it's burning.
And this happens. It's part of the process, y'all.
So do you typically use onions in terms of flavoring your foods?
Oh yeah, I'm from the Caribbean, so we use these white onions or yellow onions. We also use scallions, which is in the onion family, and that's also in this dish. So that's going to go in here. So my pot is right next to me. I'm heating up, and now that my onions are chopped up, I'm going to add, and we also use ginger, which is in this dish too. I'm so excited. This dish encompasses so many of the flavors I love. Including flavors from the island. It has pineapples.
Which is amazing to actually include the fruit too. So we have our grains, we have our vegetables, non-starchy vegetables, you have your fruit.
Yeah, so you know my plate. So this encompasses everything that's on my plate. All the different components. All right, so I'm gonna try to make my eyes stop burning. So we're using avocado oil.
Okay.
And I'm going to put this.
And why the avocado oil versus some of the other oil choices?
Well, I was watching a presentation. I know that we're talking about certain oils being better for your cholesterol. And so avocado oil is one of the oils that are heart healthy. And that's why we're using it.
And we can use that in substitution to some of the unhealthier oils.
Exactly.
Correct? Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about playing with recipes is that you can substitute some healthier options. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, when I was creating this recipe initially, I think I had olive oil in it, or coconut oil that we were going to use. And then we talked about it and we swap out avocado oil as a good substitute. And what makes it a good substitute is that it's neutral. It's neutral tasting. It won't impact the flavor at all. And again, you're supporting the heart. So I've got my oil in here. I'm going to let the pan is hot. I'm going to put in my onions first. like I said, I add the onions before I add the garlic to allow so that the onions don't feel the direct heat and aren't so that the garlic doesn't feel the direct heat and isn't likely to burn quickly. All right.
Let me ask you a question. There's a question in the chat. Could you substitute with olive oil, or are there some limitations to using olive oil with cooking?
Again, it depends on what your goals are. I use extra virgin olive oil a lot in my cooking.
Okay.
When I'm sauteing things and so forth. But again, if I'm looking to create a healthy recipe, I would substitute that. If I'm cooking for my dad, who has he doesn't have a heart condition, but he's older and I'm trying to just monitor and be careful with him. I would make it this way. So it really depends on what your own needs are and what your preferences are. The one thing with olive oil I would want folks to know, it's to be used at lower temperatures, lower heat. So when you're sauteing, it's not to be used for deep frying at all. It's not to be used for frying or for putting it in the broiler, because at temperatures above 400 degrees, it starts to denature and the oil actually turns toxic and can be bad for you. So just something to think about. How you're using the oils matter. So avocado oil can tolerate high heat. So that's also why it's good for this quick saute that we're doing here. So now that I've got the onions in, I'm going to add the garlic. Do you eat fried rice? Do you buy fried rice, Brenda?
I actually don't buy fried rice. Yeah. So when I saw this recipe, I thought, this is nice, because it's something for me to introduce, because I don't cook fried rice either. So I will let you know how the recipe turns out on my end.
Please do. Do you cook at all? Do you cook often?
I do. I do a lot of cooking. Like you, my family history is from the Caribbean. Okay. So a lot of my palate is based on watching my mom and my family throughout the year. So a lot of Caribbean bases in terms of the herbs and the technique.
Awesome. Cool. What I'm going to do now is add in the ginger, and I'm going to take my spoon and do a stir really quickly. I want to show you a cool technique for cutting ginger, also for storing ginger. So I keep my ginger in the freezer, y'all. I used to keep it in the fridge, but ginger, a little goes a long way, and you buy a thing of ginger, and if you don't have plans for it immediately, it will go bad in the fridge. But my mother-in-law taught me, and she's from Haiti, and she said, Karen, put it in the freezer. I keep my ginger in the freezer at all times. And just take it out. The beauty of it is it preserves the flavor, and it's really firm when you take it out, and so it cuts easily, and especially when you're doing this technique. So this is how I learned to peel. So my mother-in-law taught me how to store it, and I taught her how to peel it. So what I do is I found out that I could use a spoon, since the ginger skin is so thin. It seems like it would be tougher. It's not. It's so thin you can peel it with a spoon. And the beauty of peeling it with a spoon is it gets into all those ridges in a way that the knife won't. It really kind of manipulates and gets into all pieces so that you don't end up cutting away a lot of the ginger by cutting away the skin with a knife. So I'm all about conserving the food, y'all.
Well, I'm learning so much today.
Yay. So now I want to mince this. Did I remember? Yep. I've got my
and as you're mincing, I saw another question about canola oil. We said about the olive oil, and you don't necessarily want to use it if you're cooking above a certain temperature.
Yeah.
What about canola oil, which is another healthy oil?
Yeah.
Are there any limitations when cooking?
Canola oil can stand a high temperature, very similar to coconut oil and avocado oil.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead, use it the way you want. Great questions. Keep them coming, y'all. I'm so glad y'all are talking to us. You should know the way Beautifully Fed Food does its cooking classes. It's always done in school. Was always in person. This virtual thing is very new to us, so we're figuring it out, and so we're used to it being really interactive and with the people and so on. So I'm glad I have you, Brenda, to talk to, and that folks are engaging with us in this chat.
Definitely. Well, one of the things about heart health, we're talking about sodium and how we want to monitor our sodium intake, and I know we had a discussion also, and the number one thing we had both agreed on is that if you're cooking at home, you can control how much of an ingredient you use, which is perfect. That's the key.
That's the key. How much of it and the quality of it, y'all. The quality matters. And the fact is, when you're buying stuff out there, when you're buying from folks, and yeah, we want to, support our local our local food vendors and so on and so forth. But even now is a good time to kind of challenge them and ask them what are they putting in, where are they getting the items from, and so forth. Because oftentimes, folks will go down on quality just so that they can keep the profits for themselves. So, if you want to make sure that you're getting the best quality food, you really have to buy it or pay more for it. So yeah, right now I find a lot of people are turning towards cooking more because it's more economical, and it's also easier for them to control how their health.
And we know that typically when we eat out, a lot of the foods may be higher in sodium, higher in some of the unhealthy fats, as well as sugar.
Precisely.
So having that control within the kitchen definitely will help you better manage. So what are some of the herbs? We talk about sodium and we say, well, monitor the amount of sodium. So then people are like, well, where can I get the flavor from if I'm not using sodium?
Exactly.
So what do you recommend?
I recommend your aromatics like we have here. I'm going to move the camera and hope that it doesn't fall into the pot. Can you see the pot? So aromatics are like the onion, the ginger, the scallion.
The pot's a bit, not seeing you. Yeah.
Here?
Now, perfect.
Now? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You'll have to be my guide. And so this is one way. Herbs are a great way, like you mentioned. Brenda, you just reminded me. I wish I had some basil, some fresh basil to add to this. Oh my gosh, at the end, that would be a nice finish. But any herbs, really, if you have thyme, parsley, fresh or dry, get them in. If they're dry, add them in now. If they're fresh, wait until later. So now I'm going to my recipe to look at what I'm supposed to do. So the other thing that I'm adding to this, in addition to the scallions to get flavor, you can use like different seeds and things. Brenda, you were talking before about how certain seeds, contribute good quality fat to your body, and that's really important to your heart. Well, we're using fennel seeds.
Ooh,
and fennel seeds are really good. I used to teach a cooking class for folks who are breastfeeding, and I discovered then that fennel itself, the vegetable too, is lactogenic, which means it helps you produce breast milk.
Oh, very
it helps like bring it down. Yeah, so it's good for that. I didn't happen to look it up otherwise, like what else is good for it, but I know it tastes really good, y'all. It's like it's one of the ingredients in sausages, and since I don't eat a lot of meat anymore, I'm always trying to find ways to kind of like give me the experience of it without it being the thing. Like anyway. And fennel seeds I find does that. So I'm putting it in here, and I started to tell you before, when you're adding dried herbs, when you're adding dried seeds, you want to add it. I'm adding a little bit more of my avocado oil because it's a spray. It dries out quickly, so you want to add a little bit more. But in any event, when you're adding dried herbs or seeds, you want to add it when you're sauteing like your garlic and onions and things, or even in the pan by itself, because it helps to release a lot of that flavor.
Is there a way we could see, if you could lift the pan up so we could see what it looks like? I'm sure it must smell beautiful.
Oh my God, it smells heavenly, y'all. Oh, the fennel seeds. Fennel, you'd be surprised that they use it a lot in Asian cooking. I didn't realize it, but friends of mine would tell me about, I've got lots of friends who cook, and we're always sharing different tips and things. And friends for years have been saying, Karen, you got to try Chinese 5-spice. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I didn't think I was missing anything. And then one day I learned about fennel. I started adding fennel to stuff, loving it. And then I finally got 5-spice, and I was like, this tastes really good and familiar. What is it about it? And it's got fennel and cinnamon in it together, along with 3 other spices that I never remember because I'm so obsessed with the fennel and the cinnamon. And fennel and cinnamon is in this
oh, very nice
dish. So yeah, it's really incredible. All right. So now that we have this, now it's time to add our carrots and then our broccoli. And then actually, you know what? I would add the carrots if you were dicing your carrots. But for me, so how you cook and the way you add things to your dish is really dependent on how it's cut, right? So these carrots, I cut them like in little ribbons. I use a veggie peeler, this Y peeler,
so they're pretty fine.
Right, so they're fine. So they're not going to take long to cook. So I'm going to actually add that at the end. And instead, I'm going to add my broccoli, which are a little thicker. And then I'll add my broccoli. I'll add my cabbage, which is in here. I'm going to move.
And typically, how long would this recipe take, or how?
It comes together really easily once you prep everything. Probably takes about 15 minutes to get everything prepped. A little bit longer if you're new and learning how to cut and don't want to cut off your fingers.
And that's the key.
That's the key.
Prepping ahead of time.
Prepping ahead of time. So important.
And I think that's why a lot of people also get put off home cooking, because they feel, oh no, I have to do all this prepping. So if you prep in advance, it makes the process a lot easier.
It really does. And you can, prep for multiple meals at one time. So if you know that you're going to use your onions for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you just cut up all the onions and just leave it in a container in the fridge. And then you can just pull from that whenever you want to.
Karen, one of the questions, how was your cabbage cut? How did you cut your cabbage?
Ooh, I cut the cabbage. Let me show it to you. Also, I kind of like the experience of shredding it. Can you see? Oh, okay. Camera went away. Okay, here.
Ooh, now I can see inside, yes.
Yeah, so let me see if I have.
You may need to pull it down a little bit. We're just missing perfect.
Yeah, there. Thank you, director. So important to have a director.
I like that hat.
When you're doing videos, y'all. All right, so I'm going to show you in a minute how we cut that up. While this is sauteing, so I just want to mix it up right now. Get everything going, and then I'm going to show you.
And I'm loving the colors. I'm seeing all of the beautiful colors from the vegetables. Yeah.
Some of the carrots got in there, but I'm reserving the bulk of it for later. And the greens I'll add in a little bit. But let me show you really quickly, since we have a little bit of time, right? How to cut the cabbage. Give me 1 second.
And I'm seeing at least 3 or 4 colors in this one dish. And I always say, pardon?
Go ahead.
No, I was saying I'm just admiring the amount of colors you have on this one dish.
So pretty. So you cut your cabbage, and I would, if you were using the whole cabbage, you could just cut directly from the head. We're not. So I'm just gonna slice a piece, and wait, you can't see me anymore.
Can see you. Now I'm missing the view of the,
the cutting board, right?
Perfect. Now I'm seeing the cutting board.
Okay, good. Beautiful. So you take a slice of your cabbage, and then I'm just going to make strips. It's all about the ribbons, y'all. So I'm just cutting it like this. If you have a mandolin, which is a slicer that makes these types of cuts as well, you can do that. But you can do it manually. It's really simple. And you just take, and if you had like multiple discs of like slices of the cabbage, you can put it on top of each other and then cut down like that. So ta-da, and then you get this.
Very nice.
You see? All right.
And see, there's always an easy way to incorporate those vegetables. A lot of people, they get nervous with vegetables, or they say they don't enjoy. You definitely can include them in the body of your dishes that you make at home.
Agreed. All right, y'all. It's time to add in the greens now. Oh my gosh, I wish this was smell-o-vision so you can smell this.
Oh,
so
smell-o-vision, and I'm sure later taste-o-vision.
Yes. Oh, the smells. But definitely, please, somebody try fennel and cinnamon together in a dish and see what you think. I used it in a curry, a broccoli and pear curry soup with the fennel and the cinnamon.
Sounds amazing.
It's such a warming, beautiful flavor profile. I'm so glad I stumbled upon it and then learned that it's been around forever. It was just me. But no, nothing is new, y'all. Everything has been here before. All right. I'm tasting this. I'm gonna take this out. This is my ginger.
And do you wait until the vegetables are soft, semi-soft? What's your consistency as an individual?
Individual, it's up to you. I like to have a little bit of crisp or tenderness
Okay.
to my veggies. So this is good for me. I'm gonna add in the rest of my my carrots and whatever else was still in there, and give that a quick stir. Even though there's no salt in this yet, you can still get the experience of flavor from all the fresh produce that's there. Look at these colors. Can you see this, Pam?
We're not
Direct
seeing
me,
the
direct.
moment. You gotta change your view. We're not seeing the pan.
Okay. Oh, this is weird. Hold on.
We definitely want to see. I'm sure many of us would
There
like
we
to
go.
taste it as well.
Then you've got to make it. Okay. I'm just gonna hold you up.
Okay.
Yeah?
You get a glimpse.
You're getting a glimpse?
Do you pre-cook the rice? That's a question.
Yes. Pre-cook the rice, and in fact, make the rice in advance if you can. A couple day-old rice is really great. In fact, that's how they tend to do it in Chinese cooking. They use.
And why is that?
Rice.
That's interesting. Why?
I wonder if it's because the texture of it holds up. It's not as soft. There's a little more bite to it. And so this is, you're asking before about the type of grain. So this is a whole grain rice that I use, wait, before I do that, before I get excited, let me read my recipe. So I add the greens. Ooh, I add the pineapple now too. Yay. So I've got a cup of pineapple here. I use a can, but if you happen to have fresh pineapple, when pineapple is fresh in season again, do that. Or if it is where you are, do that. So I've got a cup of pineapple. Oh, look at that, y'all. So the key so when you are using canned pineapple, make sure, remember we were talking about quality of ingredients.
Is there a way you can put it on a holder? Because people are getting
dizzy
with the mood. Yeah. They're
down. Right, I'm gonna put it back. I'm gonna
yeah.
put it back down.
And one thing I just want to share in terms of the whole grain brown rice. So we talked about the role of fiber in monitoring heart health and also diabetes as well as high blood pressure. So it's beneficial for many of the chronic conditions that we see. So we always say promote whole grain products such as your brown rice. Somebody earlier in the chat had talked about pineapple and they wondered if they could have pineapple if they're living with diabetes. And I say 100% sure. Remember, whole fruit, fresh fruit.
Exactly.
They contain the fiber and it's they're nutritious. So you can definitely include them.
Eating the whole fruit is what's key, like eating it whole, because then you get you get all the nutritional components from it. Definitely. As opposed to having it juiced, right?
Exactly, 100% so, yeah.
So what I just did, y'all, I added in an egg, a whole egg, just one, and I'm scrambling it. And this, I made a hole in the center.
I think you need to bring the camera down because we're not sitting. There you go. There? Now they're seeing.
This is where I hold it. So I'm just gonna let it sit there for a little bit and get the heat.
I'm sorry. Should we rinse the pineapple to maybe remove some of the excess juice? Somebody's asking, or is it fine to just pour in?
Thank you for asking that question. I love this audience. So I'm going to put this back on a holder and I'm going to show you, it's key again, talking about quality ingredients, right? So when you're buying canned fruits, you want to make sure that you look for canned fruits in whole juice, not in heavy syrup. Definitely not in heavy syrup, in whole juice, because then it's natural juices, no added sugars. So this is pineapple and 100% pineapple juice. And as a result, when you look at the ingredients, all it says is pineapple juice, period. That's it. Okay. You want. And in that case, no, I don't need to rinse anything. I just I just spooned out the pineapples, left the juice a little bit because I might want to add the juice later if I want some more sweetness.
Interesting.
But if you did happen to buy, you have some cans of pineapple in your cabinet that are in heavy syrup, please do rinse those. And next time when you're making a purchase, remember whole.
And what about fresh pineapple? Can you use this pineapple in this recipe?
Of course you can. Yeah, please do that.
Yes, Ingrid.
Oh yeah. Yeah, always use fresh. You could also use frozen.
Yeah, accessibility is huge. You always want to
Yeah,
have accessibility factors.
definitely. So now my egg is in there. And then I'm folding it into the veggies. Oh my gosh, y'all, it smells so good. Okay, and now we're gonna add the rice.
Yay!
All right.
I think this is the part we're all waiting for.
The two cups.
Did you add kale?
I did. The kale is in there. I added it before I added the egg.
So just before the egg.
Yeah. Can y'all? What if I leave the camera where it is and tilt the pan? Can you see
better.
this? Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yes.
That's what we're doing. See, we're learning, people. Thanks for being patient with us as we figure this out. Camera angles and all. All right. So now I'm just mixing to get everything to, oh my gosh, I'm getting so hungry now. Yay. Okay. And out of this, I'm going to add my soy sauce. I have low sodium soy sauce here. I've got a little bit of the pineapple juice I could add to this as well, and sesame oil. And then we're going to add the cinnamon. Because remember, I told you that's my magic combination these days. So this
I'm just going to let everybody know. So the key is the lower sodium soy sauce, and you want to be mindful of how much you're using, especially if you're a person living with high blood pressure or you have heart disease. Then you may want to decrease the amount that the recipe is asking for. It's so you can do it to taste.
Yep, precisely. So I add a little
and
bit.
I believe Karen. Go ahead, Karen. We got a few more minutes.
Okay, I'm adding the cinnamon now. I've got a tablespoon of cinnamon here. Oh, so good. And then, also, if you had extra scallions, you could put that at the end. If you had herbs, like I said, basil would be amazing in this if you wanted to do that. Or if you had some fresh parsley, I have some rosemary in the fridge I might add to this later. But this is pretty much, once you've mixed it all up. Oh, sesame oil. That's what you want to finish it with. The sesame. And sesame oil has a very strong flavor, y'all. Not everybody likes it. So if you don't like it, don't add it. But if you like it, it's best to use sparingly. That's how people who like it. They don't. You don't need a lot. So we're just going to drizzle a little bit over for taste.
One thing I would say with oils, yeah, definitely sparingly, because even though you may have heart health, the calorie content for oils can be high, especially if you're monitoring your weight. So always be mindful of the big picture. Oh, that looks so good.
Right? I'm going to make you watch me eat it. But no, I'll make it fun for you, because I do a dance. When the food is good, I can't help myself. I have to dance. I dance to good food. It's just something that my body does. So you'll get to see me dance. It's not a good sight, but whatever. It's what I do. And that's how you know. And if it's not good, then that means I need to add something to it. Something might be missing. So I'm gonna put a little bit into my bowl here. You can still see my other camera, right?
We can. We're not seeing it yet, but once you tilt, I know we will be able to see. You need to
well, no, I mean the camera facing me. There should be two cameras. Can you see that?
Yeah.
One? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I'm gonna have a bite.
Looks scrumptious. Can you just put down your camera, the bowl that you're holding, Karen? Face it to the camera so people can see what the end product looks like. We're seeing the beautiful bowl, but not what's in it.
Okay. I'm gonna put more into it.
Wow, well, thank you. That looks great.
Yeah, y'all. Basil. That would be really great in this. Or cilantro. I have cilantro. I'm gonna add
love cilantro. Very nice.
Ta-da!
Thank you so much.
And now you've been beautifully fed. Thanks so much for inviting me to do this with you, Brenda. This is awesome.
No, thank you. I've learned so much. Hopefully everybody else has as well.
Yeah. Cool. Bye, guys. Bon appetit. Let us know if you do end up making this or making some version that it inspired.
We would love that.
Right?
Yes.
So fun.
So thank you. Hopefully you all enjoyed that demo, that presentation. It's nice when we can bring in what we talk about. So I just want to give you some information on some resources For assessing food in New York City, you can go to nyc.gov/getfood, and it can give you a map of food resources across the city, free food branches, grocery stores and farmers markets, as well as a lot more. In the kitchen workbar NYC, you can see some of the recordings of presentations, cooking presentations Karen's done in the past, and we're hoping she can join us again in the near future. American Heart Association, as well as the My Plate, have a gallery of recipes that you can also try if you're looking. Upcoming events, a year of COVID, working through collective trauma, will be February 10th. We have Race, Health and Use, separating facts from fiction, February 17th, and Civil Service 101, navigating jobs in the city government, will be occurring on February 23rd. So please. Upcoming events, a digital calendar. I get excited with this because I've been pushing a lot of my diabetes prevention program members to take advantage of the array of activities on the digital calendar. There are free fitness, meditation, and self-massage classes available Monday through Friday. So please visit the digital calendar and register. And we have, very exciting, about our first male-only diabetes prevention program will be kicking off in March of 2021. The Diabetes Prevention Program is a year-long program and is aimed to help at-risk individuals prevent or delay type 2 diabetes by learning lifestyle habits that include healthy eating as well as physical activity. So please, if there are any males or if you know any males who potentially could be candidates for this program, share this information. Please keep in contact with us. There's an array. We have a website. You can email us. We're on Instagram and LinkedIn. So please keep in contact. We're always looking to incorporate future programming, and we want to keep you up to date. And before we leave, I just want to open up if there's anybody who has any questions as you're exiting that you may want to ask that possibly was not answered during the presentation. Please feel free to put in the chat.
And while you're doing that, you know, I just want to say again, the combination of the fennel and the cinnamon with a little bit of sweetness from the pineapple, it's so everything. It's really delicious.
Yes.
This. Brenda, will you make it?
I am going to try and make it because I learned a lot of new things.
Very cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, I never really added cinnamon to a meal, definitely a dessert. Meal. So I'm interested to see how that goes. It's a recipe. What is it ready? Can noodles be used instead of rice is what somebody asked.
Yeah, work well answered in the chat earlier. But yes, they can be used. Of course. Try to find whole wheat noodles or some other, you know, like soba noodles are really great. Some other grain.
Perfect. So I want to leave by saying, go ahead.
Oh, one last thing I saw, brown rice. Leftover cooked rice is actually better for this dish. Yeah, it holds up well to all the veggies and things. But fresh can be used too. Work well knows all the answers.
What fruits and vegetables are good for preventing heart disease? All fruits and vegetables, well, non-starchy vegetables, again, because of their high fiber content, right? And all fruits because of their high fiber content. The key is that you want to try and monitor overall intake of unhealthy fats, monitor sodium. If we have high blood pressure, it's as low as 1,500 milligrams per day. If we're at risk, it's 2,300 milligrams a day of sodium. So you definitely want to limit the amount of sodium consumed throughout the day. But again, it's eating a balanced.
Oh, the audio is messing up again. I can continue on that thread. Like Brenda was saying, y'all, Really, it's about your increasing the amounts of fruits and veggies that you're adding to your diet. Color, vary the color. Every color is linked to a different phytochemical in your food that provides more nutrients. And for instance, purple, the purple in cabbage, the purple in eggplants provide anthocyanin. Brenda, you'll have to correct me. Anthocyanin, I think. And anyway, it has protective qualities against heart disease, cancer. So if you want to like have an idea of what types of fruits and veggies are very specific to heart disease, look up the color, look up red, look up orange, and I think each one of them has a certain component that they offer to heart disease. So again, it's really just having variety of colors in your diet and on your plate like this. And you see, it's not that hard to do. And in fact, it's delicious. So do that. We encourage you.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Oh, such great information. Also from the people within the chat, you all are such a wealth of knowledge. Continue to share amongst yourselves. This is fun. And share with us. Oh, bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.